break the rules.
We'll call our meeting to order. First item is invocation by Reverend Wendy Swanson, PV United Methodist Church. And they'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Chloe Cornell.
Good evening, and join me in prayer. Gracious and loving God, we come before you this evening filled with joy. Joy that we are celebrating the freedoms that we have been given. Joy that we have officers, men and women and canines alike, that we ask for your blessings upon, that you would strengthen them and guide them. We thank you for their service. We thank you for their dedication. Lord, we also ask for blessings on all those who have gathered on this council. You have called them each by name to come and to look over this community. I ask for blessings and guidance on all the work that is done this evening. We ask this in the name of Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Swanson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chloe. Okay, next item is roll call. Diane?
Mayor Skoog.
Present.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Grossman.
Still here.
Councilmember Mallory.
Here.
Councilmember Marshall.
Here.
Councilmember Nye.
Present.
And Councilmember Whiting.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, we'll go on to scheduled announcements and presentations. First one, GPREP, Richard Heath, Executive Director.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, Mayor and Council. I have a very short presentation. I understand that the PowerPoint is in your packet, so I'll just hit a couple of highlights with that, but then I also have a really short video to show just to let you know some of the marketing that we're doing through our organization. As I mentioned, you did get this in your packet, so if you have any questions, let me know. But I would just want to probably go to like slide number 9 if you had it print. Did they get it printed for them? Or I'll just go through these real quick. Most of you know that GPREP was organized about 3 years ago as a regional economic development organization, a public-private partnership in which the town continued to be an investor. So you can see a little bit of our overview of the areas that we cover. Our mission is to work with the local units of government, the four communities, as well as the Yavapai County, to attract quality businesses, job, and investment to the region. So I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary, and we're really starting to hit some of these marketing strategies that you see. Marketing our area nationally, working collaboratively with our economic development staff, trying to stimulate the economy here, trying to diversify and make it sustainable for the long term. Here's our sponsors. Here's our action plan core areas: marketing, recruitment, business retention, capacity building, investor relations. And on the retention side, it's really working with our local economic development practitioners. If there's something that on a regional basis we can help on workforce or infrastructure improvements, we'd certainly want to lend our hand and our support in those improvements to make sure our business community has everything that they need. Here's our business action team, and I know Mike Paredes, the executive director for PVEDF, is in the back room. And I want to give a shout out to Greg Pfister, too, who used to be on our business action team. I miss him a lot. He was a good person to talk to. He was a very good resource for me, especially when I first came to this region, and hopefully he's doing well. So I'm sure he is. Creating base jobs is our number one goal. Some of the things that we're up to as far as the focus of our industry is aerospace, defense, MRO, maintenance, repair, and operations, medical fabrication, medical devices, packaging materials, and firearms and ammunition. Some of the progress to date, we are in intense marketing at this point. Our website is always being updated and trying to make sure that we have the information that site selectors, business development consultants want on that site, so they can do that cursory review of the region. And if they're interested and need more information, they can certainly contact myself or Mike Paredes or one of my colleagues at the city or Chino Valley. Some of the events that I've been participating in, I've been all over in LA, Las Vegas, over in Dallas last month, going back to Los Angeles coming up later this month for another trade show. Not just being there as present to meet with the business community, but also with Site Selectors Association representatives and so forth, trying to get the word out about our region. Some of the other initiatives, we did hire a site selection business development type consulting firm to work with us. They have an extension of resources to be able to contact those site selectors and business development consultants within those trade industry sectors that we're looking at. And again, if we're not at the trade shows, they will certainly represent us there. Set up meetings for us when we're in those key locations, making sure we're getting the word out. If they are working with companies that want to expand to our region or to a region, we want to make sure that we're on their radar. Other initiatives, the marketing. We have some of the materials you see in front of you is a thumb drive that has all our marketing materials on it. Those are easily distributed at trade shows, business development consultants. They can download the information. It has information on all our communities on the region, sites and buildings that are available that we're trying to promote for our region. The last thing on that slide is we're going to be putting together a FAM tour for business development consultants to come here and visit with us. Instead of me always going to them or Mike always going to them, if we can have 6, 7, 8 of them come here, take a 2-day tour of the region, I think that's going to be very beneficial as well. Working on a number of inquiries. A lot of the initial inquiries do come through the Arizona Commerce Authority, which is a good partner for us at the statewide level. But you can see some of the things that we're working on. It's a very eclectic group, and it changes by the day. So between Mike and the city and Chino Valley and Dewey Humboldt and the county, we're trying to make sure that all the inquiries are being handled 100%. We're not stumbling over each other. I know Mike and I talked a couple times today about a company that came to our region, met with him as well as myself, and I gave him a tour. So we want to make sure that we're having a consistent message about what we're selling here in our region, as well as our respective local communities. Some of the more early or the successes, one of the companies that Mike worked with early on was Vinyl Visions, is able to give them some support, as well as the city. They ended up in one of the business parks in the city. Make Stripe, Prosthetics, Frontier, Technicoat, Superior, and so forth. People have asked, well, what can we put together a spec building? Is there kind of a one-size-fits-all for companies that want to locate here? And you can see from what companies are looking for, it's a pretty diverse group of buildings and sites that they're looking for, ranging from 125,000 square feet for plastics manufacturing, all the way down to a 16,000 square foot building with 42-foot roof lines. We've had a lot of discussion at GPREP about putting together a virtual build type building, where we can compete with some of these site searches that ask for existing buildings where we don't have those types of buildings available. Can we put together a virtual build package and start putting some submissions in? There's some pros and cons to doing that because companies that are coming here, they want to limit their risk. They want to know what they have, what's it's going to cost them to buy or lease. And if you put together a virtual package, like if you go buy a car, do you want XM radio? Do you want those types of things? Those are add-on features, and sometimes companies kind of shy away from if you don't have that building already available. But again, it's it's a politically challenging thing to have a 25,000 square foot building sitting out here at Big Sky and then waiting for the phone to ring and somebody to occupy it. So you kind of get caught in that quandary of not having the buildings and then trying to have a building available that may be sitting for a little while. Here's my contact information. Hopefully everybody's getting my monthly e-news, which is an update. And I want to thank Councilman Anderson for participating on GPREP and being a representative for the town. So I'm going to show a very short video. And this is one of our marketing videos that we have for the region.
When that happened to me, I had to hold the microphone to it. I don't have a microphone, do I? Is the audio not working? I don't like the balloons. Oh, well.
Here, I would really have to take a look at all of the elements that the county and the municipalities and everybody has to offer. And it's a beautiful combination and integration of law enforcement, great health services, low taxes, and all of the elements of the environment that with our wonderful weather. We have it all here.
Our mission is to attract quality businesses, capital investment, and quality jobs to the greater Prescott area.
I think one of the greatest benefits that we can bring, the greatest regional benefit, is that we have a 200-acre industrial park right here in Chino Valley. It's right off of Highway 89. And it's in close proximity to our airport, to our colleges, to our technical school. To me, that's a winning combination.
I view the economic outlook of Prescott very positive, and actually for the entire region. I think we have a lot to offer here. We got great weather, we got great people. I think this is a great place for people to come and have businesses started or bring their business here. They've already established it elsewhere.
GPREP joins forces with all communities to bring area assets to the forefront for site selectors and prospective companies.
Well, if you want to make money in your business, this is the place to be. Our businesses do succeed. The community helps them succeed. We make it easy for you to get going. We'll walk you right through it and help you get up and running.
The whole area is just open and available for anybody that has any type of business that are looking to relocate.
Currently, GPREP is working on a unified effort to bring base jobs to the area. Our goal? Market the region nationally and internationally. Effectively collaborate to help align economic development activities and investments toward regional diversity. Stimulate the regional economy and position ourselves for economic growth.
Superior finally settled on Yavapai County and Prescott Valley specifically because they found a great economic development community that was pro-business, that was very helpful in getting us started in this area, provided a great worker base and skilled employees.
Now is the time to do business in this area. GPREP is your one-stop connection to this exciting region and its communities. creating jobs to shape our region's future, and assisting companies with the information needed to make the right decision. It's what we do. For more information, call or visit the GPREP website at gprepaz.com.
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Questions, Marty?
Yeah, just a quick comment. I know, well, actually, there will be a question. A couple of years ago, the mayor, Laura Lee, and I had gone to a business manufacturers meeting, and their hardest problem was getting people to the region. And they found that once they got somebody to this region, it was much easier for them to say yes, that they want to move here or recruit here. Are you finding the same thing, that once you get them here, your level of success in bringing them here is greater?
Oh, absolutely. The company that I toured with today is from northeast of L.A. Metro, and they had never been here before. They drove into Phoenix, they're staying down there, and they came up here, and like most of us do, like I did when I first came here, my jaw dropped, and we spent a day and we just toured the area. So you hate to say it, but sometimes the area does sell itself. I mean, you got the Mingus Mountains, you got Bradshaw, you got the Granite Dells area. It's a very, like it says in the video, there's a lot of assets that you sell collectively here. There was a newspaper article in the Courier maybe a week ago, and it says that the Prescott area is the third most attractive area for people to locate, behind Wilmington and I believe Savannah area. So you think about that kind of ranking nationally and what kind of that does. And I remember when I first got here about 8-10 years ago, they talked about this area being one of the top retirement areas in the country, and that's kind of like changed everything. So it is, when people come here, and that's really that branding and making sure that we work together, that if they're coming through any entity like a chamber or the local economic development organization, that we're making sure we're handling those inquiries appropriately. Because if they get a liking for the area, they're going to want to come here. The Vinyl Visions is a 6 or 8 year transition from California to the city of Prescott. So it does take a little while, but people like it here.
Well, thanks for the work you're doing. You're doing a great job. So thanks again.
And I want to thank Mike, too, in the back room. I know he's sitting there pretty quietly, but he's got a lot of information. He knows the area, he knows Southern California, and we're constantly talking about successes going into Southern California and how we can package a good message together and bring them over here. Again, like you said, Councilman Grossman, once you get them here, if they're not already here or they haven't had some exposure, it's a lot easier sell. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your continued support, and look forward to presenting sometime down the road with some more success stories.
Well, thank you, Richard. We have a lot of young families and a lot of young people. They need jobs.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay, next item is Interfaith Outreach. Mary Dahl. Mary here.
That's not Mary.
That's not Mary. We'll move on to a Distinguished Service Award. Leighton Cooper, K9 Jake, SWAT and Patrol. Gentlemen, who's up? Chief, you're up.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor and Council. Maybe we can just bring Jake down to speak for me. Every day our police personnel, sworn, non-sworn, and volunteers go out. And I truly believe and am faithful that every day they do a job that helps to keep this community safe. Every once in a while, though, they do something that is above and beyond. And so we're here to recognize that kind of dedication tonight with a Police Chief Distinguished Service Citation. So I'm going to read a list of personnel off, and if everyone that's here to be recognized tonight could come on down, please. Officer Leighton Cooper and K9 Jake. From our SWAT team, Sergeant Tom Grant, LPO Daniel Eller, Officer Matt Williams, Corporal Kevin O'Hagan, Officer Joe McCamish, Officer Wesley Dykeman, Officer Mike Stambaugh, Officer Jeremy Wisenand, Detective Scott Rudolph, Officer Justin Smith, Officer Kyle Hodder, Officer Scott Davis, Medic Nick Fournier, LPO Brian Sheldon, Officer Scott Monteith, and Paul Molinex, our SWAT volunteer.
Man, look at him.
From patrol, I'm glad he doesn't have footing down here. We're all safer. From patrol, Sergeant Jeremy Martin, Sergeant Mike Williams, Officer Dave McNally, Officer Randy Busby, Officer Jesse Newton, Officer Tyler Brown, Officer Caleb Cousins, Officer Brandon Frost, and Officer Luke Williams and K-9 Turco. On the evening of February 10th, 2016, at around 8:20 p.m., Prescott Valley Police responded to an armed, intoxicated, suicidal subject who indiscriminately fired rounds in the 7100 block of Silverlode Drive. While officers were responding, dispatch advised that family members of the suspect were hiding in the guest quarters located next to the residence. While on the phone with family members, dispatch could hear several gunshots in the background. When officers arrived on scene, they could hear the suspect yelling in the front yard of the residence. Officers heard gunshots and observed the muzzle flash as the suspect fired his weapon. Officers also heard a male voice screaming that he wanted to die by suicide by cop. Patrol officers evacuated adjacent residents, set up a perimeter, and called for the response of our Prescott Valley Police Special Weapons and Tactics team to respond to the scene. SWAT was activated and arrived on scene along with PV Police K-9 handler Officer Leighton Cooper and K-9 partner Jake. Armored vehicles were deployed to the front of the suspect's residence. SWAT officers located the suspect in a bush on the side of the residence with numerous weapons. The suspect came out and told officers he wanted to go suicide by cop. The suspect reached in the small of his back and made a gesture with his hand as if he had a gun shooting at officers. The suspect ignored commands to surrender and was belligerent to SWAT officers. The suspect walked back toward the bush where he had numerous weapons stored. At this point, PV Police K-9 Jake was deployed and successfully subdued the suspect until SWAT officers could place him into custody. The suspect sustained minimal injury and was transported to the local hospital where he was treated. While getting treatment, he advised officers that the K-9 apprehension saved his life because he intended to make our officers shoot him. Thanks to the patrol response, keeping the suspect from going mobile, the SWAT team, using available resources and showing great restraint, and the eventual arrest by Police K-9 Jake, this incident was resolved without loss of life. The actions of all involved are commended. Mayor and Council, I think this award could just as easily have been deemed a life-saving award because I do think that the restraint that our...
He has 20 minutes. And he just needs to use the microphone.
There you go, Harvey. There's somebody to take you up on your 20
He's excited. He's excited. We won't give him the commendation. He'll chew it up like Jake's homework. Anyway, what I was saying, Mayor and Council, is that these officers saved that man's life that night because of the tactics that they used. So good job. If I can have a representative from the patrol unit that was there that night come and take this, please. Thank you. And a representative from our SWAT team. Leighton. He says that's mine. Does anybody want to say any words? Good job.
Well, next time, either bring a pacifier or an Oscar Mayer hot dog for the dog.
I think he would like the Oscar Mayer better. Thank you very much. Good work,
Thank
gentlemen.
you, Chief. The department is doing a great job, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Good job.
Too much energy.
Okay, next item is Chamber of Commerce. Marnie? Yeah. I think it's going to be a tough act to follow, Marnie. But you'll do it.
What a nice story. That's amazing. So great. Okay, it's my pleasure to introduce one of our newest businesses in town, a face familiar because he has had business with us, has been a chamber member, and has come back and opened a new one. So I would like to introduce Dan Hussey, please.
Welcome, Dan. It's good to
Thank
see
you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. I want to tell you a little bit about our business, but first I want to say thank you for 3 items. I'm going to limit it to 3. I thought of more, but I have 3 minutes. First of all, I want to thank you for the progressive growth atmosphere that you've created in the town. You really have attracted some strong businesses lately, and this is a cumulative effort that helps all of the businesses. One of the things that I've noticed recently is that when I first moved to town almost 30 years ago now, there was a kind of a psychological barrier between Prescott and Prescott Valley. A lot of people in Prescott would not shop in Prescott Valley. It was maybe a pride issue. I've noticed that barrier has been pretty much destructed with your strong progressive attitude about growth. You've attracted some really companies that have brought people from Prescott out to Prescott Valley, and now our store is not only getting people from Prescott, we're getting people from Cottonwood and Sedona and the Verde Valley. And of course, this is all music to your ears because it's additional tax revenue. We're a big ticket item, and when we sell a house full of flooring, that's quite a few tax dollars. So because of what you've done and the atmosphere you've created, we're getting business from out of the area that's bringing revenue to Prescott Valley. Secondly, your conservative fiscal governance. You've created an atmosphere where you've kept the town small, employees limited. You do a lot of outsourcing. I've talked to some of you individually about this philosophy. And I want to tell you, I deeply respect that attitude, that you have on a very local level a desire to keep the government small. We're seeing what out-of-control government does on a national level, and the fact that we're not doing that locally really means a lot to me and my wife. Thirdly, on a smaller note, but much appreciated, you removed the cameras that were giving people tickets. I know there's a lot of good arguments to be made for those cameras, but one of the arguments that I made against them when I came before you earlier was that those cameras were driving away business. I had customers telling me that they would never shop in PV again because they got a ticket when they came through here and they had a clean record for 30 years. That was costing us a lot of money. So I really appreciate you taking a progressive attitude about that. I know arguments can be made for their reinstatement, but I strongly urge you to reject those arguments because it will increase business and be good for the economy. A little bit about ourselves. My wife and I have recently reopened a flooring store at Highway 69 and Glassford Hill Road called Totally Floored. We have a 10,000 square foot premier showroom. We're the largest showroom in the area. We are probably the most attractive retail spot in the town of Prescott Valley next to the Amish furniture store and the pet store there on the corner. We employ about 12 people and we're growing. Something you may not know about is we're part of a cooperative. It's a nationwide model of 500 locally owned businesses like ourselves. We're all independently owned, but we group together and we present ourselves. We have a corporate office back in New Hampshire, and we buy together. So we have the power of a big group like Home Depot. We actually install more flooring nationwide than any other retailer. So we actually install more flooring than Lowe's and Home Depot. Because we buy together as individually owned stores, we have the benefit of being a small business, which keeps the dollars local. You know that. And when you have a company that's owned locally, more money stays in Prescott Valley. So when people buy from us, more money stays local, but they're not paying more because we're part of a regional group, nationwide, actually international, that allows us to be very competitive. So I want you to know how much we appreciate you and what you do. I know it's a labor of love on most of your parts. I could not do what you do, but I thank you for doing it well. And we appreciate you creating an atmosphere where we can be successful here in Prescott Valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. I need new flooring now. I'm just talking about that. Okay, just a couple of other things. I really want to thank everyone that came out for the Team Up to Clean Up number 20 this past Saturday. We had a little bit less attendance, and I think that was because of the weather, that, people were unsure whether it was going to rain or not. It did not. It was beautiful, actually. A little cloud cover never hurts anybody when you're out there picking up trash. But it was really, still we had enough, a little bit under 100. We have a lot of T-shirts left from this year and last year and the year before, so we're going to be bringing them out to Movies Under the Stars and passing them out for free to get people to wear them, but to have them and continue to show, and then we'll start again fresh next year. But again, thank you to the Prescott Valley Early Bird Lions Club, Roar, for their help. They help pick up the handicapped and the disabled seniors and folks that can't make it to the dump site. And then we had a whole team. Marty, you and your gang were out there. They're out there every year. Then we appreciate Central Yavapai Fire District for their help. So it was a great, great day. One more. We've been on an event roll since April. One more event coming up Saturday, May 21st. The 19th Annual Battle of the Bands is going to be happening at Prescott Valley Amphitheater. Gates open at 12. First band takes the stage at 1 o'clock. It costs $4 to get in. Children under 3 and active military are free, but I promise gorgeous weather for this one. It can't happen to us again. I've been watching it. I live by the Weather Channel now. But we'd love for everyone to come out. It's a lot of fun. We've got 5 great bands, an open air concert for everyone to enjoy, and it's a family event. So I hope everybody comes out. Any questions?
Questions, anyone?
Thank you.
Arnie, thanks so much. Mary Dahl, are you? You missed your turn, but you're back up. That's for Interfaith.
Somehow I thought I was at the end of the program.
Interfaith Outreach.
Interfaith Outreach. We are a consortium.
Could you use the microphone for the comments?
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
That one there, that's it.
Council members, mayor, vice mayor, town manager, thank you for allowing me a few minutes and forgiving me for my dropping the ball in the high weeds. Interfaith Outreach is a consortium of 5 churches that have been providing food for people in need in Prescott Valley since, believe it or not, 2004. It began at Emmanuel Lutheran Church, which Council Member Nye is very familiar with, and has spread. So Emmanuel Lutheran serves 1 lunch a month. Trinity Lutheran serves 1 lunch a month. I am with St. Germain's. We have been doing 1 lunch a month. We have now extended that to 2 lunches a month. 2 other churches, Prescott Valley Presbyterian and Mingus View Methodist. I hope I didn't get the Methodists and the Presbyterians backwards. They'll work it out.
They'll work it out. It's all Christian. They provide bagged lunches for our guests who come for our free lunch to take home with them. Prescott Valley does not have much. Am I too close to this?
No. Right
Prescott Valley does not have much of a homeless population, but what we have are working and retired people in need. I don't like to say the word poor because I know homeless people who say they are not poor. But people in need. The per capita income in Prescott Valley is about $19,500 versus the per capita income for the state for about $36,800. Our population over 65 is about 5% higher than the average in the state. And I mention that to describe the need. We have been providing these lunches. As you well know, Prescott Valley is now the largest community in Yavapai County, and we need to grow up and provide for our citizens. The need is growing as the community grows. What we would like to do is expand to our own facilities. It has been wonderful that the churches have provided at no charge the use of their kitchens. We have a huge number of volunteers. We serve right now about 600 lunches a month. But the churches have no more room for us because they have other activities going on. So I'm on a campaign to raise money so that we can have a freestanding soup kitchen, for lack of a better word. Better expression, that's 2 words. And that we can offer more services and more meals to people who need it. I'm obviously not going to read it to you, what's in there. You can figure out the numbers. We have applied to some organizations for grants. The Elks organization has given us some money. St. Vincent de Paul, Thrivent Financial for Lutherans. We are getting very generous donations for our contributors, from our donors, and I think it's time that Prescott Valley reaches out to people who are in need. And our expression is food and fellowship for those in need. There are lots of people who can afford their food, but they live alone and they don't get out and see people and need to do that. We have big plans. We're taking baby steps, and we would appreciate whatever support you can give us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mary. Appreciate that. Okay, we'll move on then to proclamations. National Water Safety Month.
Hey.
Good to see you. Mary, or Diane, you got the proclamation?
Yes, I do. National Water Safety Month, May 2016. Whereas the citizens of Prescott Valley recognize that swimming and aquatic-related activities relate to good physical and mental health and enhance the quality of life for all people, and whereas the citizens of Prescott Valley understand the essential role that water safety education plays in preventing drowning and recreational water-related injuries, and whereas the citizens of Prescott Valley are aware of the contributions made by the recreational water industry as represented by the organizations involved in the National Water Safety Month Coalition in developing safe swimming facilities, aquatic programs, home pools, and spas, and related activities providing healthy places to recreate, learn and grow, build self-esteem, confidence, and sense of self-worth, which contributes to the quality of life in our community. And whereas the citizens of Prescott Valley recognize the ongoing efforts and commitment to educate the public on pool and spa safety issues and initiatives by the pool, spa, water park, recreation, and parks industries, and whereas the citizens of Prescott Valley understand the vital importance of communicating water safety rules and programs to families and individuals of all ages, whether owners of private pools, users of public swimming facilities, or visitors to natural resources. Now, therefore, I, Harvey C. Skoog, Mayor of the town of Prescott Valley, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2016 as National Water Safety Month in Prescott Valley, and I urge all of our citizens to support and promote this observance.
Thank you, Diane. Vice Mayor, any comments?
Sure. Well, I'm sure we all agree that one accident is one accident too many. So I hope that all of our citizens take advantage of this opportunity and come out and make this a safe month and make this a safe life for their children. So thank you.
It can happen here. We have one community pool, very few private pools. Comments?
I'm Robert Karen. I'm the aquatics coordinator for the Parks and Recreation Department here in the town of Prescott Valley. And I just want to say thank you guys. Water safety is a huge thing. We offer swimming lessons over at the pool, and we absolutely love to get all the little ones or even adults out to the pool, teach them how to swim, teach them that water is definitely a very fun activity in your leisure time. However, it's also something you need to be safe around. So thank you guys very much for this proclamation.
Thank you, Robert. Any questions, anyone? Just keep them safe. Okay, Robert, you're doing a good job. Appreciate that. Okay, next item, certificates. Certificate of Appreciation to James Tobin for 10 years of service. You have any comments, Diane?
No, I do not.
How about
Mayor,
Chief?
I think
Here we go.
probably
Chief
yes.
Edelstein. Come on up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We gather tonight to honor Detective James Tobin for 10 years service with the Town of Prescott Valley Police Department. James began his law enforcement career in 1996 with the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office, and in 2006 he joined the Prescott Valley Police Department. James has been named as either Deputy or Officer of the Year 3 times in his police career, and has been named a Mothers Against Drunk Driving Yavapai County DUI Officer of the Year 4 times. It's quite an achievement. From 2008 to 2010, James was a DARE instructor in the Humboldt School District. In 2009, he was named the Matt Forrest Yavapai County Substance Abuse Task Force Community Member of the Year, and in 2011, he received the Community Leadership Award from the Northwest Alcohol Conference. In 2012, James received the Mickey Sadoff President's Award from the National Office of Mothers Against Drunk Driving in Washington, D.C. James served as the chairman of the Matt Forrest Underage Drinking Task Force in Yavapai County from 2008 to 2013. And in 2013, Matt Forrest received the National Coalition of the Year Award from CADCA from among 5,000 substance abuse coalitions, with special recognition given for underage drinking enforcement and prevention efforts. A large part of that was due to the work that Detective Tobin did as the chairman of the Underage Drinking Task Force. Detective Tobin is currently assigned as a detective with our Family Violence Unit, and since 2012 he's also served as the chairman of the Yavapai County Coordinated Community Response Team and Domestic Violence Task Force, which received the 2015 TASER Community Leadership Award. And most recently in 2015, our Family Violence Unit received the Arizona Attorney General's Distinguished Service Award for service to crime victims and the Prescott Valley Police Department Unit of the Year Award. All that mentioned, I'm sure James would appreciate this part. James's proudest accomplishment is being a husband to his darling wife, Jacinda, and a father to his wonderful children. If I can just add a couple of quick comments. The word community-minded comes to mind for me when I think of James. He and I actually started our careers within about a year of each other in law enforcement. I used to stop at the house where he lived near Kirkland Junction. And we would stop and drink coffee and chew the cud for an hour or so, and then I would continue on my route through Yarnell when I worked for the sheriff's office. So we go back a long ways. And again, through the years, I've watched the things that he's done in our community, and I'm truly honored to have worked with you.
Thank you, Chief. Vice Mayor. Oh, Laura Lee, comment.
I have the privilege of serving with Officer Tobin on Matt Force, and I'm acutely aware of how much of this he does on his time. You need to understand that not only does he represent the police department, but he diligently represents the community. And he's very concerned at many levels to improve the quality of all of our lives in particular the youth of our community. He's so dedicated to that. And I just want you to know what a privilege it is to me to know you, to occasionally get to work beside you. Everyone says I have a lot of energy, but I can't keep up with you. I honor you for that, and thank you for the gifts that you give to this entire community.
Thank you, Laura. Steve, you had a comment? No, Steve was only, 20 years old when he started work?
I would have been 21.
21. 21. You were legal age then.
I was legal, so thank you for your 10 years of service. We really do appreciate it. And every time I see the PD and the community doing events and stuff, you're always there, and we really do appreciate it. You put on a good face for the community, and it's really awesome. Thank you.
Mary, you were even younger. Your comments?
Oh, you're too kind, Mayor. But, I want to say thank you because, as we worked through the last 4 years of working with the flags, the healing field and all that, I had the opportunity to work with Officer Tobin, and we were able to work with the LEAP program, which actually works with the juvenile correction facility. And it was an amazing process because some of those young adults came out and helped us put up those flags. And they really, really had a different take when they left. And I thank Officer Tobin for helping me with that, and I look forward to doing that every year because I believe that touches those young people's lives and hearts, and that they realize, you know what, there is a lot of opportunity. So I just thank you. You're an amazing, amazing man, and God bless you and your family.
Thank you, Mary. Mike?
Yeah, I just wanted to lend my congratulations as well. It's hard to believe it's been 10 years. I think I agree with the other council people that everywhere we see police presence, Officer Tobin is there. So he's become the face, I think, of the police officers for Prescott Valley, and we appreciate that. And it's hard to believe that all the hats that he wears, just as we know other officers wear, it just proves that they have a great resume in terms of experience and going through the process of keeping our community safe, and that's what we all look for every day, and we know you go out of your way and put your life on the line for that. And congratulations again for 10 years of service. We hope to see you for another 10 at least.
Thank you, Mike. Marty?
Yeah, I think I first met Detective Tobin when I first started getting active with the Prescott Valley Police Foundation, which was shortly after I moved here. And through the years, I keep seeing James at all these, as Stephen said, all these different functions. But also, whenever there's a special celebration or in the community, the Family Advocacy Center, Stepping Stones, he's always there. And, he's well known there. And the work that he does behind the scenes that nobody sees is just absolutely incredible, in addition to the work that he does as a police officer. So he is definitely a true asset to the community, and he's just one of those shining stars that we have here. So thank you, James, for all your, and I also want to thank your family for letting us have you. So
thank you.
Congratulations.
Marty. Vice Mayor?
Even a heartfelt thank you is never going to be enough, but that's what we have to offer you. So thank you very much, James.
And with that, James, we have a certificate or an appreciation award from the town of Prescott Valley presented to James Tobin in appreciation for 10 years of dedicated service, March 2006 through March 2016. Then I think if your attorney, so Heidi can take a picture of you and need your bride next to you. Chief? Yeah.
Go on.
We also have a 10-year pin with an emerald in it. And the next one to speak is Mrs. Tobin. She's got 20 minutes. You're up.
All right. Do we want to take a picture first?
Take your picture first. Okay, come on, Vice Mayor. Where's Vice Mayor?
Go ahead.
No, come on. Get in there. Mrs. Tobin.
Okay. Well, I'm a little confused because James told me he was winning the Most Handsome Officer of the Year award for Prescott Valley, so I don't know. Boy, as long as you're all gushing, I guess I'll take my chance too. I met James about 12 years ago at the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office when he and I worked there. I was a dispatcher, and he was an officer with a special crimes unit. And as some of you may know, his reputation definitely precedes him. He was highly regarded. In fact, his nickname was the Pope. And yeah.
Religious guy. Yeah.
Don't let this go to your head, honey.
It's not the one
No. When I finally met him, one handshake was all it took. That's our love story. When I married him, I knew that I was going to have to share him with his career and his involvement with many organizations. Sometimes the only chance we get to see him is if we join him at these activities. And as you know, as officers, being a spouse is sometimes really difficult, and a lot of adjustments, a lot of compromises, reheated dinners, postponed holidays. But it's definitely been worth it. I feel blessed that I've been able to work with him on 2 different occasions throughout my career. It allowed me to have a perspective to see him objectively, not as a husband, but as an officer. And I've been humbled on more than one occasion when former drug users and domestic violence victims will speak on or come to me and say that their lives have been saved by him. And that really hits home sometimes when I get on him about spilling coffee all the way up the stairs or not paying the water bill. So I think that's been good for our marriage. Yeah. Have you paid that yet? No. Anyway, I'm surprised at how modest you are, at least with me. I don't know about anybody else, and I'm in awe of you. As you are at your twilight of your career, I'm really, really looking forward to our some days. We've got a lot of them coming, and I'm looking forward to our first trip alone together in nearly 12 years, and maybe actually having a glass of wine together for the first time. And maybe you doing the dishes would be nice. Anyway.
It's on tape.
We're very, very proud of you, honey. And I love you. I love you as a man and as a police officer and as a husband and as a father. Thank you.
Thank you all for doing this. I'm very lucky. I just want to say thank you. That's it.
You know what? I think that explains an awful lot about you, James. You're just a very humble but very capable and super officer. Thank you so much, and congratulations. And we wish you anywhere 10 to 30 years. Thank you so much, and thank you for your comments.
I know.
And Chief, appreciate your comments. Okay, next one, we'll move on to a certificate to Karen Smith after 5 years of service. Karen? You have any comments now? Larry has? Okay, Larry's going to do it.
Actually, I do, and you know, I could go ahead and use this as an opportunity to burn Karen and give her a hard time, but it would be hard to do that because Karen has been fantastic, has done an absolutely terrific job growing the Human Resources Department, taking care of our employees, and you've done that very well, and you have introduced new concepts to make sure that our employees not only are well taken care of, but they also are having fun, and you are tireless in your efforts in putting on wellness fairs and appreciation opportunities for the employees, and now you've got them playing ping pong and doing things like that in their spare time, and so you really have done a great job, and I don't know if you really appreciate, Mayor and Council, that because of Karen's effort on the wellness side, we saw a significant reduction in our health care cost or premium to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and in part, not only because of our very good record over the last 12 months, but they also take a look at the program that Karen set up. And, you know, despite the fact she came from the Midwest, she's really adapted well to the Southwestern culture and the Prescott Valley culture. And so, Karen, thank you very much. You're doing a terrific job, and we fully anticipate another 15 to 20 years of service from you. Yeah.
Vice Mayor?
You've done a great job for us, Karen. Thank you very much.
Mike?
Yeah, I remember when I first started with the council that it was about the same time you came on. And I can't for the life of me think who was you replaced. So obviously you've made a big impact. And I think the things that you are doing are years ahead, I think, of our fellow communities around the state, and we appreciate that. And I just had one question. Is it possible that our employees will be too healthy in the future? No. Well, we thank you for your service. Thanks.
Steve, you were about 26 years old when you started.
26, yeah. I was only a year away from getting elected on the council, so you can't use that one against me. But thank you for your 5 years of service. We really do appreciate it, and we look forward to 25 more.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone else? Mary, did you have a comment?
Well, I just want to thank you. And you know what? I am a big fan of what you do with that wellness program and the energy that you bring. And you have people they not only get healthier in the sense of all of their medical issues, but also their mind and the energy, and it's positive, and it makes coming to work good. And that's awesome.
Thank you. Laura?
Karen, you brought an extra sparkle into HR. I had the privilege of working at a vendor table at the health fair and talking to all of the employees. And I think in the beginning, some of them had to be drug along, kicking and screaming. But you were the spark that ignited the wellness program we have today. And I've never told you this, but the various other boards that I serve on outside of this one, I tell them about you. And I tell them about the wellness program, and I tell them if they want to know how to do it really well, this is the lady you have to talk to. Beyond that, I want to compliment you on the improved professionalism. I've watched it since long before you were here, and you're amazing, and we are fortunate, and I won't lose sight of that. Thank you for all the extra that you put into it that I probably don't know a thing about.
Thank you, Laura. Marty, any kicking and screaming comments?
Yeah, sure. I don't make a stop to the Civic Center without stopping into HR on my way out of the building, and it's always a entertaining place to stop. There's always so much going on, and everybody there is so positive, and that comes from the leadership from you, okay? Plus, we have all these different wellness programs that you don't realize, who's behind it, and, we know it's you. And also, there's so much free-flowing information as far as how to maintain your health. So you don't necessarily have to be part of some of the programs, but the information is there if you want to look at it, read it, and do it on your own without necessarily doing it as part of the town. And I just think it's great that you're there and you're leading them the way you are. So, again, a lot of the work that you do is nobody knows about it, but we know it. So I guess that's sort of important. So keep up the good work, and I look forward to seeing you in the office there many times. So thank you.
Marty. Vice Mayor. Okay, with that, Karen, we do have a certificate of appreciation presented to Karen Smith, an appreciation for 5 years of dedicated service to the town of Prescott Valley, April 13, 2011 through April 13, 2016, and a 5-year pin. And then we're going to let you introduce your staff and make some comments.
Very good. Thank you. I think I'll stand on this side so I can see them. Carolyn and Jamie, I need you to stand because everyone might not know you. This is part of my team. We're missing one this evening, Michelle. Thanks, guys. You can sit down. I have the best staff, and we do have fun. And I think that's really important for our whole organization and all of our employees to enjoy what they do. And that's my commitment to the organization. And what I do is try to make sure that through employee relations and other opportunities in career development, performance management, on and on and on, that we have a great organization. And it's easy to do because we have people like Officer Tobin as part of our organization. It's a pleasure. I've been here 5 years. It just seems like yesterday. It's the best decision I've ever made. I have the best boss in Larry Tarkowski I've ever had in 25 years in human resources. I value him. I do. He lets me do what I want to do. It's great. Sometimes I have to talk him into it. But he does, and he's very supportive, as council is. I love this community. I love this organization, and thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Here's your certificate, your 5-year pin, and if you'll pose for a picture, and thank you, Jamie and Carolyn, for coming up. Yeah, come on up and join in the picture. I think it should be noted that Prescott Valley town staff is absolutely outstanding. The question is it our superior hiring practices, or are we just attracting the best people? Which is it, Karen?
We're attracting the best people. We're attracting the best people, and we make those best people even better.
Thank you.
Good answer.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Okay, next item is comments, communications. Anyone have any comments or communications? Marty?
Yeah. For many of you that may or may not know, this weekend the YCCA is having their home and garden show at the Prescott Valley Event Center. I'm part of the Habitat for Humanity work crew, and we are going to be building the outside shell and structure of a house in 3 days. If you want to come down and participate in some way, you could either be a spectator. You could buy a nail. You could sign a stud for, I think, $20 or $50. For $150, we have squares painted on the floor. You can give a personal message to the family that's moving in there. Saturday afternoon, I believe we're going to be putting up the roof trusses. So before that gets done, we have to put up the walls, interior and exterior, and eventually we're going to sheathe it and house wrap it, and then eventually the house is going to be moved to a location on Cattle Track and Roundup, that corner lot there. So this is the first time that they're doing it here. They saw it happen in Chicago, and they said we could do it in Prescott Valley. So we're doing it. It's a fundraiser, so come out there, bring your checkbooks, bring cash, we'll take it all. It's going to be a fun event. And then on top of it, you have in the event center, you have, I think this year they have 200 vendors. So it's going to be a great show. There's a lot of good information. And with the economy turning around, I'm sure there are a lot of people looking to improve their houses and make them better. So come on out and see us. I'll be out there.
Thank you, Marty. Anyone else? If not, we'll move on to number 9. This matter of consent agenda. All matters under consent agenda are considered to be routine by the town council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion would be desired, that item would be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. This includes the approval of the April 21st, 2016 work study and the April 28th regular and special meeting minutes, approving a Series 12 liquor license application for Thai Cafe LLC located at 3050 Winsong at Suite 101, Thang Su Samport. Did I pronounce that right? Applicant. Then C is approving the adoption of 9 new and revised Arizona State Library archives and records retentions. By the way, that's a pretty big folder. Approving the Lakeshore Drive widening project, CPIS 365 change order number 1, final as built adjustment to contract quantities. E is approving the Upper Verde River Watershed Protection Coalition's proposal to apply to Wells Fargo Bank and National Fish and Wildlife for a grant up to $75,000. The Arizona State Forestry Biomass Enterprise up to $30,000 in the USDA Service Biomass grant up to $250,000. By the way, we are the fiscal agent and hold those monies and you give them back to the Verde River Watershed Protection. And F is approving an employment contract with Randy Scher to serve a 2-year contract period at the discretion of the town council as administrative hearing officer, and also approving an amended employment contract with Peter Van Heron as administrative officer and increase the pay as set forth herein. E is approving an amendment to the grant agreement between the town of Prescott Valley on behalf of the Upper Verde River Protection Coalition and Arizona State Forestry Division. And I is approving accounts payable. Anyone want to pull an item for special consideration, or do you want to approve that?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda by electronic vote.
Okay, second
Second
anyone?
the motion, Mayor.
I didn't hear a second. Was there one?
Stephen.
I'll second.
I'm
Mayor.
sorry. Okay, Diane, we have a motion and a second. Will you set the vote? I'm trying to get this thing to set.
It ain't coming up.
Mine isn't coming up either.
Mayor Skoog,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory,
Mine works.
so did Councilmember Marshall, so did Councilmember Whitings, Councilmember Nye.
Yes, yes, yes.
If you exit and then come back in, it might work.
That passes unanimously, Mayor.
That one passes. Thank you. Okay. Move on to number 10. New business for review, comment, and/or possible action. Public hearing on proposed amendment to a sign regulation. With that, Bernard, you're doing it, Carmen? I
Thank you,
declare
Mayor.
the public hearing open.
For your consideration and public hearing to consider amending the town's sign regulations to conform to the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling in Reed versus Gilbert. In 2015, the Supreme Court ruled in Reed versus Gilbert that municipal sign codes regulating signs based on the message they convey or the content violated the right to free speech guaranteed by the First Amendment. And basically, what this means is that we can regulate time, manner, or place of signs, but we can't regulate any signs relating to their content. And really affects us with respect to temporary signs in the public right-of-way, where we have always prohibited the temporary signs in the public right-of-way. We were able to make some concessions, but with garage sale signs, special event signs, and signs of that nature, whereas now we won't be able to regulate that content, and therefore we won't be allowing any signs in the public right-of-way at all. So based on the Reed ruling, staff reviewed the sign code regulations and now proposes amendments to the code to repeal regulations that are based on the content of a sign and enact provisions to regulate signs based on time, place, and manner. The Planning and Zoning Commission considered the proposed amendments at its April 11th meeting and voted unanimously to forward this item to the Town Council and recommend approval. And I'm available for any questions.
Mr. Mayor, I had a question.
Mike?
Yeah, I was just wondering, how does that relate to election signs? Does that impact that at all?
Yes, it does. Previously, the state had legislated a certain time period close to elections, whereas the political signs were allowed in the public right-of-way, except they made a provision where we could have a district, the council has reviewed this, with the entertainment district where they were prohibited. Now, based on this Supreme Court ruling, political signs will not be allowed in the public right-of-way.
If I could just add to that, you know, nothing is absolutely clear, and there are people out there who disagree with the interpretations that should follow from the Reed case.
I think we do.
Well, it's not just a matter of disagreeing with the rationale, but some folks actually disagree with what it means, partly because, as we've often had, we've got a split court, and so some of them wrote one thing and some wrote another, and so trying to discern what the ruling actually was has been part of the challenge. One of the things that we were facing is that the state adopted a provision that some folks read rather broadly and said that it was prohibiting any regulation of political signs in the right-of-way except in those limited areas that we could designate as no political signs. And so we did, you may remember, designate our downtown area as a no political sign area. Well, when the Reed case came out and the Supreme Court basically said, we don't care what the state made you do in terms of making distinctions between political signs and other signs in the right-of-way, we don't care whether it was the local government or the state government. We're just saying government can't make distinctions. People went back and they looked more carefully at the state law. And the state law didn't on its face actually say we couldn't regulate political signs. What it said was you can't go pick them up. You can't go, in your enforcement, you can't go pick them up. And so by looking at that a little bit more narrowly, we realized that the only thing we had to do was try to enforce things a little differently. Instead of going out and picking them up, we'll issue a citation, a civil citation. And so we're basically now not going to make any distinctions at all between signs in the right-of-way, whether they're election signs or other types of signs. They'll simply all be prohibited. And that's the easy way to comply with the decision. One of the things about the decision, you hear it and you say, well, that all makes sense. The First Amendment, should protect people's rights otherwise to have signs. But for years, the courts interpreted it a little differently. They said, as long as you're not disagreeing with signs because of their content, saying if they say this or they say that, we won't allow them, you can still make some distinctions between yard signs and for sale signs and election signs and temporary direction signs and different types of signs out there. And what's changed is that the Supreme Court came in and said, we don't want to make that narrow a distinction. Basically, if you have to read it, to decide how you're going to enforce it, then you're violating the First Amendment. And so that's essentially the way Reed has now been interpreted. And that's why we're having to simplify our codes and not have all of the different distinctions we've had for years and that we had developed over time. And we have many fewer categories now and simply say yes or no. And so we've simplified the code, made it easier to follow.
I think you've done a good job of that. It's kind of annoying that the courts and the legislators try to tell the cities and towns pass our own codes for us. So, anyone from the public have any comments?
Mr. Mayor, I have one quick question. For my own benefit and possibly for a whole bunch of people sitting at home, could you define right-of-way?
Right-of-way is the area that's designated for transportation, is the way that it's defined. It runs along transportation routes or roadways, easements, things of that nature.
Usually you can see it easily. You can usually see fences, like in the downtown area. You can see where the fences are for the cattle. That's usually the right-of-way line. And so what people end up doing is they put their signs, they go to the private property owner and they say, can I put my sign on your fence? And then it's not in the right-of-way. And so that's how they're able to deal with it.
And any other questions?
So can they still do that? Put their
Yes.
signs on the fence?
As long as they've got permission from the property owner,
okay.
They can put
Even
that
though
on
it
the
faces
on the
along
fence.
the right-of-way, we're
Right.
fine with that.
But it's
Okay.
not in the right-of-way.
Not
When
in
people want to move it out, into the
Right.
right-of-way where it's facing the traffic directly, that's when we have a problem.
Okay.
Larry?
Yes, it's very important to understand that if you are going to be putting out a sign, political or otherwise, that it is on the private property. Right-of-way is more easily defined as being a property line, and then you look on the other side of the street and find that property line. Too many people believe that a road right-of-way is what is black with asphalt or gray with concrete. Not true. Okay, typically on the property side of a sidewalk, you've got in Prescott Valley anywhere from 5 to 15 additional feet that is right-of-way and not private property. So you need to really make sure, and many people in the past have had their signs picked up thinking that they were on private property, getting the permission of a private property owner to place the sign, but in fact the sign was out in the right-of-way. So people need to be very careful about that.
Anything else, Simon?
Just one last little distinction. Again, we're trying to treat all things the same. And in the state statute, it says that if the political signs don't indicate on the sign who's responsible for the sign, it can be picked up. And so other types of signs that may be out there, we're not going to want to pick them up if there's an indication on there of who they belong to. And so then we'll just issue a citation. But if there's no indication as to who they belong to, then they can still be picked up.
Okay, good. Mike?
Yeah, I was just curious, what is the fine for a citation? Do you know?
It'll be part of our hearing officer process.
Good. Mary?
Okay, so I just want to clarify this. So let's just say sometimes, like when I was employed at Albertsons and they had that corner right there, sometimes we would ask permission if we could put up like a Sundogs banner when we had the hockey team and things like that on the corner. We would go to the town. You could get a permission from the town and maybe have it up for like 30 days, but you had to kind of watch that.
Yeah,
so that's a no more either, right?
Correct.
Okay.
It'll have to be on private property.
Mr. Lonas, you had a comment? No? Okay. Anyone else from the public?
As an example, but that's all I got.
Any other comments, Carmen?
Mayor, I have a quick comment.
Yeah, I'm
Or
sorry,
a
Steve.
question. What about the people who spin signs out by Kohl's? Is that now?
That's different. That is different because that is considered First Amendment, the activity, and that's why they do that, in order to get around these limitations.
So
Good. Mary, another question?
no. I just thought of something kind of funny, and I'm just all of a sudden going, I can just see a bunch of politicians running around dancing, and you know what I mean? Anyway, just funny. I just could see them, doing their thing. Got it.
Good. Any other comments?
Yeah, twirling
Marty?
signs, Mary.
I'm sorry, Marty,
I'm not going to do it, but I just could see it.
Okay. Any other comments? Mary or Carmen, that's it? Nobody from the public here to comment? Okay, come on up. Introduce yourself, if you would. Yeah, pull the mic a little closer.
My name is Adeline Victoria Ann Widoff. I'm Polish, by the way. I have a question about the police department.
I'm sorry, we got to stick to the agenda item.
Well, it has to do with the police department's Cry Wolf.
Has something to do with signs?
No.
Okay, we have to stick to the agenda item. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And we're required by law to do that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
End of the meeting, we'll have an opportunity.
Okay.
Call the comments from
I
the
thought
public.
that's what you were talking about. I'm sorry.
No, this has to do with,
We'll
with
come
this
back.
specific item.
We're right here.
Okay, great. Well,
Okay.
thank you anyway.
Thank you.
We'll try you a little later. Okay, if there's no other comments, I would declare the public hearing closed. We'll move on to B. Consideration of authorizing the mayor to sign resolution number 1963, declaring the document amendments to state sign regulations to be a public record for adoption by reference. Okay. With that, anything else to add, Carmen? Carmen, you're doing it for Fernando, aren't you? Anyone? Any motions? Anyone?
Mayor, I got another quick question.
Oh,
So,
sure.
Is there any kind of warning phase that goes in, or are they just automatically going to get a fine for putting a garage sale sign out?
Well, the amendment that you're considering isn't affecting enforcement. It's just affecting what the statute is. So, you're always able to, as a department, avoid issuing a citation immediately if it looks like it's something that they could get by with a warning.
Alrighty.
So this doesn't affect that one way or no.
Okay. Motion, anyone? Steve?
Mayor, I'll go ahead and make a motion.
Okay.
Motion to authorize the mayor to sign resolution number 1963, declaring the document amendments to sign regulations to be public record for adoption by reference by electronic vote.
Mayor, I'll second that.
Okay, with a motion and a second, would you set the vote, Diane?
That's unanimous, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, we move on to number C. Consideration of approving the reading of ordinance number 816 by title only on two separate occasions. Then place the same on final passage. Adopting the proposed amendments to the sign regulations. ZOA 16-001. Motion, anyone?
I'll make a motion. It's a motion to, wait a minute, motion to read. Okay. Motion to read ordinance number 816 by title only on two separate occasions, and then place the same on final passage.
Second, anyone?
Mr. Mayor, I'll be happy to second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Would you set the vote, Diane?
There it is.
Somebody not voting?
Yes, Mayor. There's Vice Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Marshall,
Yes.
Councilmember Nye.
Yes.
Thank you. That's unanimous, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. With that, I would ask you to read. No, I'm sorry, not yet. Okay, if the vote is in favor, then yeah, you'd have to read the ordinance by title only for the first reading.
Ordinance number 816, an ordinance of the mayor and the common council of the town of Prescott Valley, a municipal corporation of Arizona, adopting by reference a document entitled Amendments to Sign Regulations declared by ordinance number 1963 to be a public record, amending section 7-01-140 permits and inspections, 10-01-130 signs and banners, 13-06-020 use regulations, 13-11-050 signs, and Article 13-23 sign regulations to conform with a recent decision of the U.S. Supreme Court, providing that all other chapters, articles, and sections of the town code not herein amended shall remain in full force and effect, providing that if any provision in this ordinance is held invalid by a court of competent jurisdiction, the remaining provision shall not be affected but shall continue in full force and effect, and providing that this ordinance shall be effective 30 days after its passage and approval according to law.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, we move on to number D, consideration of authorizing the mayor to sign resolution number 1964 approving FDP 16008 to sign Proposition 207 waiver. John's Auto Works, FDP 16008. Carmen, you have any comments on that?
Thank you, Mayor, I do. For your consideration this evening, we have an application from Stephen Rutherford, property owner, a request for approval for an approximate 4150 square foot commercial building with 6 service bays and associated parking on an approximate 3/4 acre parcel. It's a portion of parcel 4 in the Eastridge development. The current zoning is C3 PAD, and the zoning classification and underlying land use designation of community commercial are the appropriate designations for this use. FDP 16008 is in compliance with the Prescott Valley General Plan 2025 in all applicable town codes. It meets or will meet the requirements for commercial PADs under the town code. The proposed plan provides adequate on-site parking and circulation and will substantially comply with the submitted plan. And Mr. Mayor, I believe Stephen Rutherford is here this evening, and you might have some questions for him.
Okay, let's ask Mr. Rutherford. You got any comments? Anyone have any questions of Mr. Rutherford?
No, I don't.
Okay.
We need a motion?
Yes, if you're ready.
Okay. I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor, in his absence, the vice mayor, to sign Resolution 1964 approving the FDP 16-008 and sign Proposition 207 waiver.
Okay, second, anyone?
Mr. Mayor, I'll be happy to second.
Okay, we got the motion and a second. Would you set the vote? We're going some blanks tonight, Diane.
Vice Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Nye?
Yes.
Thank you. That's unanimous, Mayor.
Thank you. We'll move on then to D. 2E, consideration of awarding the construction contract to the lowest responsive bidder, ALC Underground LLC, in amount of $29,656, and approving an amendment to the town engineer agreement with Deva and Associates for design and construction period services in the amount of $6,310 for the high school sewer line and sizing up of the project Phase 2 CIP W362B. Neil, you're up.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. This is for a capital improvement project. We actually did part of this Phase 1 a couple years ago all the way through the high school. There's a small section of sewer line that still needs to be upsized from 6-inch diameter to 8-inch diameter to bring it up to our minimum standard. Right along Bison Lane, it's about 300 feet of pipe. And we had bids come in between about $29,000 and $65,000. 4 bids, and the lowest bidder for $29,656 was ALC Underground, LLC. And so we'd like to award the contract to ALC Underground. In addition, we need to do an amendment to the town engineering agreement with Dave & Associates for $6,310 for their work associated with this project. And so with that, I would answer any questions you might have.
Questions, anyone?
No,
I think we're kind of familiar with this project. Questions, comments, motions, demotions?
Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to make a motion
Okay, we're ready.
to award a construction contract to the lowest responsive bidder, ALC Underground LLC, in an amount of $29,656, and approving an amendment to the town engineer agreement with Deva and Associates for design and construction period services in the amount of $6,310 for the high school sewer line upsizing project phase 2, CIP W362B.
Thank you. Motion or second, anyone?
I can second that, Mayor.
Okay, the motion and a second. Could you set the vote?
Vice Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Mine didn't come up either this time, Diane.
Mine did.
Mayor Skoog?
Yes.
Every single time.
Mayor, that is unanimous.
Thank you. Okay, you can go for that one, Neil. We'll take another one. Consideration of approving amendment for an out-of-scope service with CH2M Hill /OMI in the amount of not to exceed $95,628.72 for a lift station rehab project. Neil, you're up.
Thank you. So this is an out-of-scope services agreement with CH2M Hill for doing work at 4 of our lift stations to put in flow metering capability, and then adding to the SCADA system, which is the controls and the monitoring system, which will allow us to, over the computer, know exactly what amount of flow is going through that lift station at any given time, and also historically, tracking that data. And so this agreement, as you mentioned, is in the amount of $95,628.72, and we do these out-of-scope service agreements with OMI from time to time through their overall contract with us. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer
Questions,
those.
anyone? Comments? Marty?
I'll make a motion. Motion to approve the amendment for the out-of-scope services with CH2M Hill OMI in the amount not to exceed $95,628.72 for the lift station rehabilitation project by electronic vote and voice vote.
Okay, second, anyone?
I'll try.
We have a motion and a second. Would you set the vote, Diane?
Mayor?
Yes.
That's unanimous, Mayor.
Thank you. Neil, go for it.
Thank you.
Good. Now we can come up with comments from the public. Consideration and discussion of general unscheduled comments from the public. Those wishing to address the council need not request permission in advance. Any such remark shall be addressed to the council as a whole, not to any member thereof. Such remarks shall be limited to 5 minutes unless additional time is granted by the mayor. It's good to see you, folks. Sorry about the last time.
No, that's okay.
If you'd hold the mic closer to you, so.
Well, this is my husband, Charles. We experienced this cry wolf that the police department has now, and I have often also talked to Chief Deputy Officer Edelstein about it. I don't understand one thing about it. First of all, does this bend a little?
It bends, but you have to kind of hold it.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. We were at our second home in Montana, 1,500 miles away. Now, prior to that, we had a painter, which we hired, that's from this village. We paid him $6,000 to paint our house, and I don't object to that. He did a very good job. But what he did is he said he'd get it done in a week, and unfortunately, it took him 3 weeks. Okay, and at that time, they painted the doors, which were the last thing. Now, if I had known anything about this precedence, about these false alarm reduction that you had set up here, I had no way of knowing, because I don't read local papers here. I don't watch the television and local news. The only way I get it is if you sent a letter and said to anyone that, or to the general public, that if you own an alarm system, you have to pay a $15 registration fee once your alarm goes off. Well, I can't control every bug that walks in my house, but had I known about it beforehand, I would have definitely told them to take the doors off to paint them, because I have a security doors on both the doors that go to the outside of my home. And the fact of the matter was, we received this notice on the 6th of the month, and it was due the 10th, and it had to come all the way from our post office to Prescott Valley, to Phoenix, and then it has to go to Denver. And then from Denver, it goes to another station in Billings, and then from there, they drop it off by the train. That's the only way I get mail. So we sent it in right away, okay? But the point was, then the next thing we got was a letter where we were being penalized because we didn't pay it on time. And that's when we called here to find out really what is transpiring, and found out that this was a ruling here. Well, I don't object to that. And if you want to charge me because you had to come to my home to check it out, which you really didn't have to do much, because my neighbor was watching the house and we had notified her. And when the police came, she said she checked, there was nothing done. So we called the guy that installer for the security system, and he said there is a way that the police don't have to enter the house at all, as long as you don't have a second alarm going off within a matter of minutes. Okay, everything could be handled that way. All right, so it was reinstalled, but now we're getting, I paid that $15 registration. First of all, they said they never received it. I have bank statements here that show that they cashed it in exactly on the 10th. We sent it out the 6th, they got it on the 10th, and there shouldn't have been any further disruption. But all this is put in front of us. I'm on vacation. I'm totally disabled. We're trying to paint a house, and all this is put in front of us. Now we have to write to Phoenix to clarify and get off, so we aren't paying this $40 charge besides. Well, that's fine, because you could charge me if you're entitled to it. But what I do resent is now that you're asking that we have to pay $15 registration every year. That isn't fair. We've had 2 different alarm systems, one in Oak Lawn where we lived before, and one that we have in Montana at our home there. And we have never had a problem with the alarm going off due to, uncaring or a slip up. We don't have children. And the only one who could control that would have been our dog at the time, which is a little short because he's a poodle. So here's the thing. I don't understand how this system works to the benefit of all the people here. The people that collect on this $15, they only give 16% to the village, to this village. If I'm going to pay a fee of $15 for registration, I want a seat to come here. And to me, it's prejudicial to pick on one person that's had an alarm. Now, we've talked to other people here. This other lady that has a business here, actually, was here 23 years before her alarm went off. What her circumstances were, I don't know. But I don't think that's fair. I've never heard of this before. I've heard if you have 2 or 3 things like this, that this will be, they figure this will be handled, you know, and then after that you're fined and you pay out of pocket for it. But if people have a legitimate reason, we were home, the police never even came into our house. They didn't have to, because my neighbor had walked around and said, there's nothing here that's alarming. It shouldn't be happening. And we had verified it with our alarm company. And they also said the same thing. Only if it goes off the second time do we have to be alerted. So why are we being charged $15? All the rest of the people that have security systems are not paying for this. I didn't even know this thing existed until we had the one alarm. And at least I should have been advised by letter or whatever way that you're going to notify us, even a postcard or something dropped off. Or I don't go to the papers. I have enough getting up in the morning and walking. Simple as that. I can't do all things. My husband is a caregiver. He takes care of me and very well. So I'm sorry, but I want to know what can be done about this to change the reasoning that came into this on your part, that you passed it. That's all I'm asking.
Okay, I wonder if we can can you refer to you, Larry? And
actually, if you, Mr. Edelstein, the
Yes.
gentleman that you referred to earlier, he's right over there in the corner. So I would ask that you go
I
talk
did
to
ask
him.
him, and he said he presented several different ways that it could have been handled. And the one that was selected was the way this is being handled now, because there were so many people that were having alarms going
And
on.
he can certainly, he was very instrumental in bringing the program to us
Yes.
to go ahead and deal with a problem that was consuming a great deal of police time, going out and responding to false alarms. And so, to that end, Mr. Edelstein will be able to explain to you how it's worked, what the rationale was, because you asked counsel what that was. He knows exactly what that was. And so if I could, I would ask you to...
Well, I would rather pay, if that's the way you feel about it, then I would rather pay right away when the police come, and you can send me a bill, and I will pay for it. But I don't want to pay $15 a year for the years that I'm going to live here or that I have left. I don't think it's fair, because it doesn't apply to everybody in this village. It applies to only the ones that had their alarm go off. Doesn't it?
We've been here 10 years. We moved here.
Would you use the microphone?
Yeah, you got to talk in here.
It won't go over
We've
the
been
TV.
here. This is our 11th year here. We moved in 5. Okay, the alarm went off in 15. We were here 10 years, and it was only because the house was painted. The bugs got in the house. A bug set off a motion detector. That's what happened. And I found a dead bug when we got home.
I can't control every bug that flies.
That is why our alarms don't go off. We know what to do. I know how to set it properly. We've never had trouble. So it's just a fluke that because they're painted our house and not the bugs in the house.
Once again, I would ask that you have a conversation.
He asked us to come here and to discuss this and bring this up to the council.
Okay, I'll talk to you when we're done.
You've done very wonderful work. We have no major complaints.
Do you think,
okay?
Larry, you could assist as soon as the meeting is over? Talk to Tom.
And I'm not poor. We can afford the
I
bill.
like to bring up something
But
else.
I don't like the way it's handled. That's all.
Okay, use the microphone if you will.
Okay, we've had water problems. Our contractor did not, the inspectors did not put our main water line in properly. The village came to our house in January and says, you got a water leak. So I walked around the yard and I found a water leak on the side of our house, spraying out in the yard. I don't go out much in the back because my dog died, so my backyard in the wintertime, I hardly ever go out. And anyway, so I had the water, a plumber came right away, I turned the water, outside water off, and had a plumber fix it. Now, I have been fixing, I have 43-year-old car. I had it parked in my driveway because I had our garage epoxy painted, the floor. So the heavy car, the way the contractor did, they must have put our water line underneath our driveway, and probably the weight of my car cracked my water line again. So I had another water leak. So I hired a local plumber. He fixed it. Now, I had to save a little money, I had my landscaper dig the from the street all the way to my garage, and they put the water back in where it originally was. But it's buried properly now, 18 inches down. It was not probably done by the contractor who built the house. It was only about 12, and then where it came up the water, it was only like 4 inches below the ground, and it froze. It broke twice there.
Well, even so, that's one of the problems we face. But since we've been here, we've had problems with the pool. We hired a contractor here. We had to go to the state, and we couldn't hire a lawyer. So I'll show you the volumes you want to see of books that I had to compile in order to get our money back of $30,000. And it took the state 35 years down the road before we even collected our money. We had to go through 3 different courts, 3 different administrative groups to collect the money. And there was nobody to help us. There's nowhere to go. And they told us if we hired a lawyer that we were out. The ROC told us right out. So all that we were asking us to compile to present to a court, it took us 4 hours from 8 to 12 on TV in Prescott with a judge in order to get our money back. And then we had to go through another department, and then another department. And then the state ran out of funds, so they used the contractors' funds to pay their people. And so we waited another 2 years after that.
Yeah,
I mean, we've had trouble with our air conditioning. There hasn't been a thing that we haven't had to replace and refix in that house, except the house itself. Everything that was put in by the contractor was defective. It didn't work. And if you talk about being disillusioned, they built us, and I'm crippled. I cannot walk steps. And they knew because the contract they signed with us, was through their own fault. And I wish I had been smart. But we saved almost $300,000 because they mischarged us. They didn't charge us for the land, which was $150,000, and the extension of the house. And then they paid it all out to their people, their real estate people. And, and we didn't even know what was going on when we came here, except our house was 7 feet from the street, which was supposed to be 17 inches above curb height, was built up 7 feet. And the village inspector came and he says, well, we can't move the house, but they're going to have to bring it down 20%. And it's that 20% that they put the pavers back on that was on our water line. And that's what destroyed our water line.
I have to apologize.
These are just simple. I'm only asking very simply for you to review this for $15. If you want to charge $15, charge it to everybody. Then I'll call it fair. But not to me, because I can't control the butterflies or the people that work for us. They didn't tell us, the painter didn't tell us that those doors, we could leave the doors closed and he'd take the doors off and the inside.
Yeah, I have to apologize. This is a very specific...
well, I'm only bringing up this thing.
We've only had security since I retired. I'm retired 20 years now. I was in Vietnam, come back, got a job at UPS, worked 30 years, retired at 53. And so we bought a house in Montana first before we came out here. And so we have 2 homes still. We have our home.
Let's make it short. 5 minutes is up.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But anyway, yes. All right.
Sit up.
Well, we had talked to your... We had told the village that they hadn't put a curb height like they were supposed to.
Yeah,
We already
if you'd come to either my office or talk to Mr. Tarkowski. Okay. And because
thank you.
I think.
Yes. Okay, I'd like to mention one more thing. I called Hardin, Montana today, talked to the sheriff's office. We fought the jail coming here. Well, when we were fighting it here, they did it the same place that was trying to put a jail in here, put it in Hartman. You know what? There's nobody in that prison. They pay $10,000 as maintenance fee in that prison, and there's nobody in the jail.
Yeah, we have no control over.
No, but I'm just telling you, we saved you money by fighting it because you had the same problems they have.
Yeah. Okay,
Nobody's
good.
in a prison.
Okay, check with us in the office because I think this is a little bit too general for the.
Okay,
thank you so much for your comment. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bess, you have some comments?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Vice Mayor, staff. My name is Deb McCaslin, and I am living in District 2, which is south of Stone Ridge, out of part of the county. Monday, I attended a Highway 69 Republican meeting, and a friend approached me with a rumor that was circulating about my ethics. And this person was concerned because he didn't really think it was the way I acted. And it turns out that a person from Yavapai College contacted a person in Town Hall, City Hall, and said that I supported activities in the Verde Valley over activities or educational programs here in Prescott Valley. And they were encouraging Prescott Valley to find someone to run against me. Well, I want to assure you and nip it in the bud that that is not a true statement. I do support Yavapai College having educational opportunities throughout Yavapai County. I do represent District 2, and that's on both sides of the mountain. But in no way do I have a bias against or for any particular community. So I just wanted to let you know that maybe when you hear rumors, that you do a little fact checking before you continue to spread those rumors.
Okay, I'm not aware of that, Deb, but we do not campaign for specific, as a group. We may individually, but not as a group. So.
Okay. Well, I accept, I'm running for office. There is another candidate running against me. This was brought to my attention, and I just wanted to squash the rumor that I do have a bias against people. I've been involved with Yavapai College since 1970, and this is my second year as a board member, and I just wanted to get the truth out, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Deb. Okay, any other comments? If there's no other public comment, we have one item left to take, and that's something everybody hates. Mike wants to stay here.
I'll make a motion to adjourn, Mayor.
We have a motion to adjourn. A second, anyone?
I'll second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion and a second. Would you set the vote?
It isn't doing anything.
For some reason, mine quit doing it. Diane?
Mayor?
Yes.
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory?
Yes. I don't know. There it worked. I don't know what's wrong with this thing.
That's unanimous, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.